Okay, hello YouTube. In one of my earlier videos, I was talking about concepts in chess that never change. And that's one of the ways that we can really learn how to get better at chess, is we can look at concepts, motifs, tactical ideas that never change, and we can incorporate them into our own game. And that's one of the reasons why we study old games. This game that we're looking at right now is Alexander Alekhine versus John Arthur Drew Witt. And it's the game that people showed me to learn a very important tactical motif called a double bishop sacrifice to kind of open up the king. It also taught me some other really important tactical motifs too, and some positional motifs, like putting your knight in the middle of the board, fortifying it, and rook lifts. All these concepts are really important within this game. So it starts out knight f3, d5, and then b4. So we're playing kind of a version of the Polish, but we're playing knight f3 first and then b4 to play our Polish opening. So then we have e6, bishop to b2, so no bishop to b4 because bishop takes g7 would win an exchange. So we have knight f6. Now the threat of bishop takes b4 is on, so a3, and then this kind of weak move from Arthur Drew Witt, c5, exchanging the b pawn for the c pawn. So now Alexander Alekhine enjoys having three central pawns to two in the middle of the board. This should leave him some sort of positional advantage. So he continues with e3, and then he just sort of extends his center, develops his two bishops, and this is a really important part of the theme. These two bishops are on very scary diagonals right now. If the center ever opens up, or if anything ever changes with the middle of the board, there is a lot of pressure against the black king. And this game is part of what taught me that as a player, and is part of what taught me how to understand how to use these two bishops when they're on these super strong diagonals like this. So we have rook d8, castles kingside, bishop d7, knight e5, bishop e8, f4. So this is the other problem that black has in his position. White plants his knight on e5, fortifies it with f4, and black's position is really cramped. He's actually running out of squares to put his pieces. And this leads him to make kind of a severe decision in the next couple of moves. So rook a c8, rook c1, knight d7, and then we have knight c6, rook c6, c5. So now black's had enough. He's just way too cramped in this position. His pieces are almost getting pushed back. He's just having to live within this little pocket, and they're running out of places to move. So he finally decides to sacrifice to break out and get some freedom. But it's really the wrong decision, and it's the wrong time. He plays knight c5, dc5, which opens up the two bishops, and then bishop takes c5. So Alekhine here plays a really clever move. He plays rook f3. He lifts the rook. Why does he lift the rook here? Remember, I mentioned that there's a motif here of bishop takes h7, and then followed by bishop g7. We call this a double bishop sacrifice. So here's the motif. So let's say we could try it right now. Let's say we play bishop takes h7, king takes h7, queen h5 check. This is the idea. Force the king back, play bishop g7. We're threatening checkmate on h8. That forces him to take the second piece. Are we winning in this position? So Alekhine, one of the best calculators of all time, he calculated this and realized that this would actually lose. So like if queen g4, for example, just king f8, black is fine. He doesn't have enough ammunition to finish the attack. He doesn't have a way to bring another piece into the attack. But if he got this exact same position and he had a rook that could magically go to the g3 square, this is kind of how you have to calculate tactics in chess. If he could just play rook g3, it would be game over. King g5, queen g5 is mate. King to f8, queen h8 would be mate. So that's why, going all the way back here, he decides, okay, I see this theme. I see bishop h7, queen h5, bishop g7. Let me go ahead and play rook f3 and set up the shot. So rook f3 is not just, oh, I'm improving my position, I'm defending my pawn, which is probably what black thought. He's actually setting up a very serious shot here. So bishop takes a3 got played, which does nothing to defend against the shot. Now, he decides to exchange rooks first. He just didn't want any funny business with rook c1 coming in between his combination. He figured black has to recapture it. It's a whole rook. So bishop takes, and then we're going to have bishop takes h7 beginning the combination. So bishop h7, king h7, rook h3 check. King back, bishop g7, and it's basically the same position. G6, f6 got played in the game. The whole point being, if king takes g7 here, we're going to have queen to g4, and then king f8, rook h8, and of course if king f6, queen g5 is mate. So we have instead f6, we have bishop to h6, queen h7, queen h5, and turns out this attack is decisive for white. The game continues bishop f8, queen g4 check, king f7, bishop takes, which takes the bishop and hits the queen, queen back, queen takes, bishop comes back just to simplify, and white is actually up a piece here, and black had to resign. So that is the motif that we have to learn from this. This really nice rook f3 move, setting up this tactic of bishop h7, rook h3, and of course followed up with bishop to g7. This is the idea, this double bishop sacrifice. Now, hopefully you can use that same double bishop sacrifice in your own games, and it's a tactical motif that you're going to look for and try to pull off in the future. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you learned something new about chess, and I hope you can use some of these ideas in your own games. Thank you very much for watching.